The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple. Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children.
Thanks to the overwhelming support of the people of Florida, we not only won election, we have rewritten the political map. We reject woke ideology. We fight the woke in the legislature. We fight the woke in the schools. We fight the woke in the corporations. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die.
In recent years, we've seen more and more politicians trying to jump on the woke or anti-woke bandwagon. Some do it to appeal to a certain group of voters, either by supporting progressive ideas or by standing against them. So what happens when these politicians go too far in either direction? Today, we're going to look at the times when politicians tried to go woke or anti-woke. Keep watching, because what you see in the end will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about woke culture and politics.
Let me ask you, do you think that General Patton was woke? I don't think so. What do you think, Mike? Mike, was he woke? I don't think so. I don't think he was too woke. He was the exact opposite. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke. Everything woke. It's true. Everything woke turns to shit, okay?
Trump's comment about everything woke turning to shit is definitely a provocative statement that gets people talking. But let's be real here. Tossing around extreme labels doesn't really solve anything. We can all agree that some aspects of woke culture can be excessive and stifle genuine discussion, but the solution isn't to dismiss everything that falls under that umbrella. Instead of jumping on the bandwagon of extremes, how about we encourage open conversations where we can critique and discuss ideas without labeling each other as enemies?
What would the first thing you'll do to fix our current school system and even our current military that's only focusing on teaching woke gender ideology over learning the basics of life and history and protecting us?
So a good question. Some of it partially answered, but not all. With the military, we're ending woke immediately. You know, I ended woke, totally. And then in their first week, they reestablished it. It's crazy. They pay instructors hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It literally, they want our military to be woke.
In this clip, Trump addresses a voter who wants to know how he'll tackle quote-unquote woke ideas in education and the military. He claims he would eliminate these concepts, arguing that they distract from essential learning and military effectiveness.
I think the schools are very important. We're going to bring our education department back. Now, if you look at our education, we pay more per pupil than any country in the world by 3 times. And yet we're at the bottom of the list. We have a bad, very bad. If a place like Iowa, as an example, if you could run your own and we give you just a percentage of the money, because you wouldn't need nearly the money that they waste in Washington. Number one, you love your students, you want your students, you know your students. The parents will be involved. That's the other thing. We're going to let the parents, because some of these school boards have become tyrannical. They've been horrible.
I get the concern about education spending versus results. It's frustrating to see the U.S. spending so much and still ranking poorly in education. Parents should definitely have a say in their kids' schooling. But calling everything that challenges traditional views woke feels too simplistic. We need to have conversations about race and gender in a balanced way. Ignoring those topics altogether doesn't make them go away. Now, as for the military, while it is crucial to focus on readiness and unity, I wonder if being aware of social issues helps create a better environment. The goal should be to promote respect without sacrificing core values.
You frequently use the term woke, and you recently said that the word means different things to different people. What does it mean to you?
Woke is a form of cultural Marxism. It's about taking individuality, merit, and achievement and subordinating that to a political agenda based on identity politics. It is effectively displacing the truth in favor of ideology. And I think it's important that we fight against that because our society does need to be rooted in truth. Don't tell me that a man can get pregnant and expect me to believe that. That is not true, and we can't govern our society based on things that are not true.
In this clip, Ron DeSantis makes a bold statement about woke culture, describing it as a form of cultural Marxism. He claims it undermines individuality and truth in favor of a political agenda based on identity politics. DeSantis argues that this ideology harms institutions and leads to negative outcomes, such as poorer educational results and increased crime.
When you have woke overtake parts of the economy with things like ESG, they attack energy, they attack other things. The average person ends up poorer as a result of that. When woke overtakes education, you get indoctrination and students end up performing worse as a result of that. When you have ideological prosecutors get into office in cities like San Francisco, they stop prosecuting criminals. The inmates run the asylum. The average person ends up less safe as a result of that. Every jurisdiction in this country that has indulged in this type of leftism, city or state, has failed.
While he raises some valid points about the importance of grounding our society in truth and merit, labeling everything he disagrees with as woke can oversimplify complex issues. There is a real need to address social justice and equality without dismissing legitimate discussions as mere ideology. His argument about people fleeing to Florida as evidence of failure in other states is interesting, but it's also essential to consider the reasons people move. There are many factors involved beyond just politics.
I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately.
In this clip, Trump is going all in against gender-affirming care for minors, calling it left-wing gender insanity and child abuse. He says that if he gets back in office, he'll revoke all federal support for these treatments, block taxpayer funding for gender transition procedures, and even create laws that let people sue doctors who perform them on kids. He also talks about investigating Big Pharma and making sure that schools don't push gender identity discussions.
We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique.
Honestly, this issue is a hot-button topic on both sides. I get the concern about protecting children, especially when it comes to life-altering decisions like surgeries or hormone treatments. Kids are still growing, and it makes sense to be cautious before they make decisions that they might not fully understand. But at the same time, dismissing everything as madness seems like ignoring the real struggles that some kids and families face. I think there needs to be a balance here. Extreme bans don't seem helpful because some kids do need support. But there should also be safeguards to make sure that any steps taken are carefully considered and involve the parents. It's about finding that middle ground, keeping kids safe while also giving families the room to make decisions that are right for them without getting caught in political battles.
One danger I see among young people, particularly on college campuses, Malia and I talk about this. Yara goes to school with my daughter. But I do get a sense sometimes now among certain young people, and this is accelerated by social media, there is this sense sometimes of the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people. And that's enough. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself. Because, man, you see how woke I was? I called you out.
In this clip, Obama criticizes the current trend of woke call-out culture, pointing out that it often replaces real activism with judgment and social media performativity. He highlights how some young people feel that simply pointing out others' flaws or using the right hashtags is enough to enact change. Now, while it is important to hold people accountable, Obama raises a valid point about the messiness of the world. Real activism involves understanding complexities and engaging in meaningful conversations. Just calling someone out on social media doesn't foster real change. It can create division instead.
You know, that's not activism. That's not bringing about change. You know, if all you're doing is casting stones, you're probably not going to get that far. That's easy to do.
In many ways, the idea of purity in activism is limiting. We should be able to recognize that people can have good intentions, even if they make mistakes. Constructive dialogue and collaboration are key to making progress. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this look at how politicians have failed at going woke or anti-woke, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Let us know in the comment which moment that you found the most cringeworthy. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.